Now, live.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, trophy hunters of all ages. It is the 25th episode of the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast. Woo!
Woo!
Number 25. How's the wing bake off going, boys?
It wasn't good today. It's
Didn't
fucking
happen, can't happen. I
coronavirus.
know, fucking coronavirus and whatnot. So, that being said, I'm your host tonight, CJ, a.k.a. Trophy Hunter, a.k.a. Solo Gamer. And I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Clothing Optional, definitely not a noob, Big D, a.k.a. Naked Gamer.
The Naked Gamer.
How you doing, Big D?
I'm good, buddy. How are you guys doing?
I am swell. And
I gotta say, it's a hard day. It was a hard day returning to work today.
it sure
It
was.
fucking sucked, man. You see it right here, a little red. I was up till like 3 because I just did not want to go to bed because I didn't want to wake up and go to work. So
I remember those days.
Yeah, it's really showing. D. You should borrow some mascara or something like that.
Yeah, I'm
or whatever
alright.
product.
That will be okay. I got something else.
All right.
Right. So
It'll wake me up. It's fine.
you heard it. You heard his voice in the background. The last to be introduced, but definitely not the last in our hearts. It is the hot taken, Twitter beef making, gamer mediocre Woodsy, aka the math. Woodsy, how you doing, big dog?
All right. Like I was just saying, we're all right. It's tough. It's tough trying to come back to work after
2
You
weeks
know,
off, man. I took the
more or
whole 2
less.
weeks,
I
man.
mean, there's that. Last week was just a joke. I mean, no one's in the office. No one can get any work done or coordinate anything. So it's
And
just
I'm jealously awesome. I took the whole week off, and work got in the way. So my week off turned into a week on. That was not fun. So
But hey, I mean, yo guys, we made it to episode 25. This is our silver anniversary, give or take.
Yeah, give or take.
Silver anniversary episode. I guess
And,
I think
and we
that's-
made it to 2021.
Yeah,
We
and
sure did.
we're still
And we're
alive.
still doing it. And we're still alive.
But yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Quite an accomplishment. So goals for the podcast for 2021. Siege, what do you got?
goals for the podcast.
Goals for
Goal-
the podcast.
My goal for the podcast is just to up the subscriber count, man. So we got a pretty decent listener base, and we get people dropping in here and there. But I'd like to get more people subscribing. That's
Yeah,
my biggest-
it really turns out Ryan's not enough to keep this thing going.
I only have so many brothers, you know. What I
Hey, tell your mom to get that baby factory cooking again. All right.
mean? My mom subscribed. I got her downloading the episodes. I don't know if she's listening to them.
Nope, she's downloaded them, so we got the stat ticker
downloading
going.
them. Yeah. What are your hopes for this year in the podcast?
Oh, man, I hope that we bust out and go global with this thing, and
We are global. We have
we,
one
we
listener in
quit our
Germany.
jobs by
not my in-laws.
mid-year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have our own clothing brand, possibly, maybe a deal with Nike.
Right. Pour on the petrol, D. Just look at that fire started, baby.
Well, and if
Real
I keep
quick.
going shirtless, maybe we fire some nipple clamps or something in here. We get a deal with Adam
Well,
and Eve. I don't know. We can do
That's
something.
probably our problem. Is we need to do this YouTube live stream in conjunction with an OnlyFans live stream. So, or fans only.
Yeah, then you get like someone in this
I'm
corner down
pretending
here.
like I don't know.
We know you're pretending.
Just kidding.
We know you're pretending. So yeah, Woodsy, what are your hopes for next year or this year?
To be more honorable when it comes to my pile of shame. We'll see.
Where is the poll? Where?
We all know where the poll is. He's on the wrong one.
We may have a surprise announcement incoming later in the podcast.
He's not going to do
May
it
have
anymore.
All right, that's a little teaser for later. So let me get through the rigmarole here then. We thank you, the listener, for turning into all the rarest takes in gaming podcast sphere. As always, we bring you all of our own unique takes on all things video games, all while recording and publishing our episodes edit-free. We bring you the podcast to all listening staples every Tuesday. You can find us Apple, Spotify, Google, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Anchor. And if you want to watch our Ugly Mugs for whatever reason, you can check us out on the YouTube channel, Raw Cuts Gaming. Check us out on there. Maybe get a little spicy episode like episode 24.
It's
Maybe
true.
you'll get just a kind of a sexy episode with Rocking Our Bucks gear. Who knows what you'll get. So
Topless Christmas episode. It was great.
that was great. That being said, let's get into. We'll have what we've been playing this week, and since there's not a whole lot of news, we'll touch on some news. But we're going to get into our top 5 games we played in 2020. A lot of times we don't, play the games the same year they come out, so we want to get into the games we were actually been playing. So we'll get on all that later. That being said, Big D,
It's me.
what have you been playing?
Let's see. This week was pretty light. We had the folks in town, so I was just kind of hopping on with you guys whenever I could. But we played, to my recollection, lots of Rocket League and lots of Ghost of Tsushima. And my boy is a completionist trophy hunter in the making. I showed him the list for Astrobot, and now he is frantically hunting all of the little things and details and the little the bots in every level and the all the little things you got to do thanks to PSN Profiles for putting those lists together. And thanks for showing us that, Siege. Because Astrobot's one of those that does a funny deal on PlayStation where literally every trophy is hidden, and it's I find that to be super fucking annoying.
Yeah, you can push square to view it, but even then, it's like super annoying, like to take that extra step to do
Yeah,
it.
so it was nice to just pop into Profiles and just be like, oh, you just gotta find all the bots and all the chameleons and shit and do all the extra levels and
It's nice
just
when
a
they have
couple
the-
tricky things. But that's
It's
about
nice
it.
when they have the guide in there, so you can just tap on the trophy and it brings you to the little write up, right away, and then
Yeah.
usually a YouTube video of some sort,
Yeah.
make your life significantly easier.
And that's awesome.
Yeah,
But
good
no,
deal.
we've been power leveling up in Ghosts. So I think I almost hit 90 last night. And I know Woods and Ryan are over 100. And we're dutifully rocking it towards Raid. So if you're ready to fire that bitch up, are you going tonight? You're going tonight, right? You said tonight. You said tonight was the night. Tonight's the night.
Definitely
Get a beer. We're going in. So, yep, that's it. Fuck it. So get in, get that fucking intro done, and we will power level your ass up to 100, and we'll get going on them raids.
Are we popping a platinum tonight? That's all I gotta know.
I don't think you're going to platinum that bitch tonight, man. Ain't enough hours
All
in
right,
that day.
yes,
But that's what I got. Woodsy?
What?
Mostly Ghost of Tsushima. I know we don't talk about other forms of media lately, but or often, but I played a lot of Ghost of Tsushima, and that was really it. And then played or watched rather a whole lot of Peaky Blinders show on Netflix. I haven't never watched before. It's pretty dope. It was about 1920s post World War One gangs in England, gangs/mobs. It's pretty good show. So if you like that sort of thing, check it out.
I my real world job came in the way of my video game, and so I didn't play a whole lot. However, Dee did allude to it. I did platinum and finish Miles Morales, so I will touch on that a little bit later. It's trophy time, maybe if we have some time. I don't want to get into too much with it, but just a couple little thoughts on it, and whatnot. High level though, I do love what they did with that game. They cut way back on a lot of the bonus content they had, whether it was in the Spider-Man 2018, whether it's playing with other people or doing some of the little lab work stuff and whatnot and puzzles, to cut all that crap out and just gave you kind of what you want to be doing is swinging around with Spider-Man. So I really enjoyed that game, and I'll touch on that a little bit later also. So Miles Morales, that's all I've been playing, unfortunately. So I am looking forward to it. I bought, downloaded, and installed, obviously, Ghost of Tsushima. So that'll be next week.
Yeah.
So that being said, let's get into the meat of the story, guys. We're going to go over our top 5 games we played in 2020. I touched on it earlier. We don't a lot of times play the games in the same year they came out. So I thought, well, why bother with, hey, this game came out last year or 2 years ago and we haven't gotten to it because it's on Woodsy's pile of shame or whatever the case was, or my pile of shame. So let's just go to the top 5 games we've played in 2020. So let's let Woods kick it off first here. Woodsy, what is your first game, maybe game number 5 or your first game you're bringing to the table?
So, for all those who have listened to our podcast, the millions and millions across the world who have been so kind as to tune in weekly to listen to our cast, it is of no surprise to those people, at least I would think, that Ghost of Tsushima, my A number 1 plus cadet, love that bad boy. Not only is it my favorite game that I've played this past calendar year, it's one of the most favorite games I've played in my life. So that's my number 1. Number 2, also probably not a big surprise. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
Number 2, also probably not a big surprise to those who had followed. It would be Nier Automata. Droned on about that game at length for a while there in a few episodes. Was in love with the story. Wasn't in love with, like, say, not necessarily like all aspects of the combat or some other things, but that story was la creme de la creme, to be certain. So it was the 5th symphony of stories in video games. So really enjoyed that one. Number 3, probably also not a shock to you guys if you follow us on Twitter or on the podcast, but number 3 was actually Remnant from the Ashes. So I know CJ loves to clown on it a lot, but I thought it was a really good game. I know we as a group were really we're digging on that for a while, and I know D's been talking about jumping back into
an expansion.
The expansion, which is part of my pile of shame.
Uh-oh.
Hint. So we may be doing some live streaming as a team to polish off part of the pile. So, number 4 would be Control. I loved Control, especially like the vibes it gave, man. It was so like X-Files-y, and the combat in that game was really good. The graphics are good. That game was just creepy and scary, and I really liked it. I have yet to play the expansion packs of that game as well, but maybe I'll give it a go. I'm trying to wait a few weeks on that one though, because I think the PS5 version they announced when it was coming out, and I think it's just a few weeks away now. So I'll get the downloads. I bought the whatever version of it, even though we clowned on them. Problems. And then my 5th game, it was GT Sport. In retrospect, can't believe I didn't get into that game until this past year, and I ended up sinking just like 250 hours into that game when I started playing it, I think maybe over the summer. Love that game. It's a great Gran Turismo game. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles of previous Gran Turismo games. It's not like a numbered version of the game, obviously. But it was just really enjoyable to play a Gran Turismo game on my PS4 with, all of the graphics, that graphical fidelity that comes with, and the increased physics engine changes. The racing was just top quality. And I really enjoyed the competitive online mode. I thought that was super dope. I never really played a proper competitive online racing game. That was really my first ones. I thought I had a really nice hook. And I really loved it. And it's got me so jazzed for the up-and-coming GT7. So super stoked for that. And then I wanted to just have mention a couple games for honorable mention. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. if you would have asked me in the beginning of 2020 if I thought that would have been a contender not only for just that year's game of the year, which it got snubbed in my opinion, but like one of my top 5, I would have said yes for sure. I love the game. It was really great. Another game I really loved, which was off the pile of shame, was South Park Stick of Truth. Love that game. It was super hilarious, and I'm sorry I didn't play it and waited this long to play that one. And I do need to jump into the sequel. And then last but not least, FIFA 20. You know, say what you want about FIFA. It's just another year, just another FIFA game. But I really loved that game. It was great. I thought, for the most part, other than crosses and headers, which I still fucking suck at that game, and I know a lot of people complain about it. Other than that, I felt it was like the best brand of video game soccer that EA has produced thus far. So don't come at me for that if you don't agree, or do come at me for that if you got beef, and tell me why I'm wrong.
Making. Come on.
Yeah. Twitter beef. Tell me why I'm wrong. So that's what I got. That's what I got.
All right, D. What do you have for your top 5 games you played in 2020?
So CJ and I were talking about this a little before the show. This question actually brought up again for me how much of a pain in the fucking ass it is to look up your own stats. Like, you asked this question, I'm like, man, what a great question. Let me just quickly and easily go in and sort my games by hours played, and I will get this information very quickly. And then you find out there's no fucking place to do that at all. Yeah. Does that do a better job of doing that?
Yeah, it does. It
right,
sucks,
good.
man. I'm sorry. I know what you're talking about.
I know.
You're not wrong.
It's fucking dumb. Like, and like CJ said, they send out those end of year things, and like, the PS4 is collecting that data. So, like, why can't I see it?
Data.
Anyway, so at least on the PlayStation site, I was able to go back and look at when was the last time I played something, so that I at least had the year right, because I didn't want to fuck up again and list Dead Space 2 as my favorite game this year, because it turns out all the years are going together now.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I didn't have these in any order. I just had them in the games I pretty much spent the most time and most enjoyed this year. So I had Outer Worlds. So I went through and crushed the shit out of that game. I usually get really into the Fallout games and the way they do the level ups and how you can. They have like the infinite level up trees where you have like 32 different stats to put rank ups in, and you can just kind of wander around and kill random people until you've maxed out literally all of them, and then you just kind of wander the wasteland and just fucking own anyone that comes in your path. And I love that. For whatever reason, I will grind through a game to get to that end state where there's just some boss wandering around in the woods and you just like take them down. I fucking love it. And then I had Apex. I was really into that for a while when I had more time during the day to just sit around and play video games when my work was slow. Got really good, but that kind of gets left behind now because that's not one the community here likes, the Raw Cuts Gaming friend group. I had, of course, Rocket League. That's one we can just go in and just fuck around and yell at the TV and yell at each other and yell at the other team and chirp at them, and it gets to be a good time. Woods inviting people that were beefing with him into the party chat. There's so many good times in there. I had the Call of Duties, both Modern Warfare and now Cold War. Still love popping into those, and I'm fairly okay at it. Not much to say there. I don't really play single player. I just go online because it's a lot of fun. And then I did have Fortnite on here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is, yeah. So, because we did crush on that for a while too with all the Marvel stuff going on. And I do have Remnant was up there too because I know we put a bunch of hours in there. And like Wood said, I've been wanting to get in on the expansion. And then I didn't feel I put enough hours into it, but Ghosts will be up there too for me. So that's what I got. How about you, Siege?
So I did have my games in order, ranked, whatever. So first, I'll touch on the honorable mentions. I really wanted some of these games to make the list, but turns out I played a lot of awesome games this past year. 2020 has been a good year for gaming with the new consoles coming out and whatnot, and a lot of dope single player games. So the honorable mentions I want to mention is Fortnite. This is the first year I really actually got into Fortnite. I bought my first season pass and just crushed on the Marvel Avengers and just leveling up and finding out about like all the challenges and whatnot you can do and how you can really kind of expand that game beyond just kind of running and hiding for 20 minutes. So I really enjoyed Fortnite. Another one I want to touch on is Neo 2. Neo 2 is a game that came out. I platinumed it. I really enjoyed Neo 1, so I was pretty stoked for Neo 2 to come out. I liked all the shape shifting they added and the way they changed the combat a bit and kind of spiced it up a bit. Dark Souls like clone, you're a samurai kind of rolling around. So Woodsy, you want to give that game a try if you're feeling for some more samurai action. But that game can be pretty tricky, so just kind of be ready for that. So that being said, my fifth favorite game that I played was Resident Evil 3 Remake. I never really played Resident Evil games before Resident Evil 2 Remake came out. Played that, crushed it, loved it. So I hopped into number 3. I didn't like it quite as much as number 2, but that's the one that I played this year, and I thoroughly enjoyed what they did with that game, where they just completely beefed it up, and new graphics, and it's just a lot of fun to kind of run through there, unlock the rocket launcher, and just clown on all these unlimited ammo and whatnot, clown on all these zombies and whatnot, make it a pretty completely different game than it is a survival horror game that it can be. So thoroughly enjoyed Resident Evil 3 Remake. The next one is a late entry that kind of bumped Fortnite off my list, was Miles Morales. I just finished that and platinumed it, but played it quite a bit last year, towards the end of the year, last few days. I really liked what they did with that game. They took all the fun parts of Spider-Man 2018 and cut out all the fat, like I mentioned earlier, and then gave you these Venom abilities, where they didn't give you the 8 options on your web sling ability, but gave you these Venom powers. They do give you your powers of like shooting the web and shooting these little drones out, but they only gave you 4 options for those, which made me use them a lot more. I felt like with the 8, it was a little overwhelming, and I'd use 1 or 2, and with only 4, I feel like I really kind of dug into all of them and used all of them at various times. Streamline the story, so and there's plenty to do in the game. People keep saying the game is so short, but there really is plenty to do in there, with side content and clowning out, various areas in the map and whatnot. So big props to what they did with Miles Morales. It's a little bit lower than I was expecting, kind of, because I did run into some bugs where my PlayStation 5 would freeze up on me, so I dinged it a bit for that. So just kind of be aware of that. Number 3, what I had was Final Fantasy VII Remake. I similar to Resident Evil, never really played a whole lot of Final Fantasy games before. I played 15 a couple years ago and thoroughly enjoyed it, and really enjoyed what they did with the remake. I never played Final Fantasy VII, and from what I've heard, the storyline, it kind of followed similarly, but I think I touched on the earlier podcast that it's called the remake for a reason, because they're remaking the story. Certain characters have different arcs and different things happen to them, which kind of change the direction of the story. And they brought the Final Fantasy kind of 15-ish combat in there, where it's slightly turn-based, but it's also action-oriented. So they kind of did a unique way to do the storytelling. Love the characters. Some of the characters I was annoyed by the start of the game, and then started to fall in love with by the end of it. So if you're looking for, you've seen the graphics, you've seen the images on it and whatnot, but if you like single-player games, go check out Final Fantasy VII Remake, man. It's highly recommended. Next, the top 2 probably won't come as any surprise. Last of Us Part 2. I'm really excited for both you guys to get in and play that game. I'd love to do a spoiler cast on that and just kind of watching the videos, kind of refresh my mind on it. But the story that game told left a pretty big impression on me, and I think about it from time to time, and just kind of think about, revenge and the toll it takes on people, and how stories can be told from one perspective, and something happens later in the game that completely changes your mind on things, and and then going through and back and doing you have to play the game, another half to get the platinum, and playing through the game that second half really drove home a lot of those points. So I'm glad they made the platinum very attainable, but it does make you play it again. And, you play through the game a couple time and a half, and you really kind of see things you didn't see the first time. So I don't like games going through and putting trophies behind New Game Plus and whatnot, although the Souls games are kind of known for hiding spells through there. But going through and playing that story a second time, man, really changed my perspective on the first half of it. So The Last of Us Part 2, it's winning all the awards, and rightfully so, man. And then my top game of the year was Demon's Souls Remake. No surprise there. I expected to love that game, and the attention to detail that Blue Point put in there, with from top to bottom, with the slight tweaks and the quality of life improvements, just in the slightest, in certain areas, but really sticking true to that game that I played. And when I played Demon's Souls the first time, it was on the PlayStation 3, and I hadn't played any games in the PlayStation 3, so I didn't like the controller. I wasn't vibing with it a whole lot, and it was definitely playable when I played it, but it definitely kind of showed the time of being a 10-year-old game or so at that point when I played it, or an 8-year-old game when I played it. So the remake, it's a beautiful game. It's a full, built from the ground up PlayStation 5 game. So with Miles Morales, there's certain things that you can kind of tell that it's still a PlayStation 4 game, but also a PlayStation 5 game. This game was a PlayStation 5 exclusive. And I think you can really see where they're going with the next gen in gaming. So, give it a shot. Anyone out there, if you're thinking about it, and if you're too bogged down by the difficulty, I'd be happy to roll a new character and run with you guys. I know Woodsy, you're kind of on the fence about it, and you're hoping Santa brought it for Christmas. But if you do end up getting it, I'll roll a new character and run with you if need be. And D, once you get your PlayStation 5 back from Vin Diesel, I'll roll a character 2 with you if need be. So.
Goddamn Vin Diesel!
I'm sorry, man. I'm pretty sure Paul Walker ended up with it.
Damn.
Oh, it's all right.
Damn,
I could have went with the Kobe joke there, but I went with Paul Walker instead.
Soft.
Same but different. It's still the same. So a lot of fun gaming this year, man. All around. So next year, kind of one of the things too is, man, just another good year in gaming. There's a good slate of games coming out.
So many.
There are
so
a ton
many.
of games coming out next year.
Looking forward to diving into those with you guys on the podcast.
What's your top, just off the top of your head? Top 2, 3. Top 2, 3. Top 2, 3 games, eh?
That are coming out next year?
No, for you. What's your top 2, 3 that you're looking for?
Hitman 3 coming out in like 10 days or so from now. Number 1 with a bullet.
Pre-order that.
And then oh man. Horizon and God of War. I don't know if it's actually coming out.
You think yeah.
They say they're coming out. I don't believe it. But that being said, I can only go with what they say. So my top 3 games are, Hitman, Horizon, and God of War. 3 games I absolutely adore for consideration. So
I'm 2 out of 3 with you. The Hitman, Horizon, and then Gran Turismo 7. That's my jams.
Yeah, I haven't looked too many in what's coming out next year, but I would definitely go with Gran Turismo 7. I'm kind of on the opposite side from Woods, so GT Sport was incredibly disappointing to me as someone that played GTs, 2, 3, 4 pretty religiously, and to jump into that arcade experience where they neutered all of the car tuning, which is one of the things I absolutely loved about that.
I mean, that's your biggest gripe.
It is. Well,
it
made me put it down. I was like, yeah, no, I'm good.
I will say this about the game. I guess all the GTs have really been good about like forcing you. Like you have your one tune car that you try to use for all like the general entry races, but that what I did still like from the Gran Turismo Sport arcadey aspect that it still had those like FR, challenges, the
Mhm.
Honda one, the
Yep.
the Toyota Supra one,
Yeah, because they're
the
different.
classic Gran Turismo like 3, 2, 1 arcade challenges were there, and I really enjoyed that.
Mhm.
That's GT is like, it's not just the mastering of one car and being able to tune that car to like all high heaven. It's attaining a somewhat of a mastery of a variety of not only cars but various drivetrains and driving
yeah.
styles, so
Front
on
and
and so
rear wheel
forth.
drive. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that in the old GT7. So.
Yep.
And then we talked about them last week, so there's a lot of the DC games coming out that I'm hoping one
Oh,
or
yeah.
two are
Yeah.
good. So
Yep.
because it's the Knights, and then there's that
When
one
when
other one
is there?
too.
When are those games slated? I know we touched on it last week, and we're hoping for them to be good. But
I
never
forget.
actually dug
I'm looking
into.
right now.
I mean, they showed a healthy. I mean, not with the Suicide Squad, but and the Arkham, whatever the game. They showed a decent amount of gameplay with that one, from what I remember. So
Yeah, a lot of these don't even have
fucking coronavirus
coronavirus.
and fucking games being hard to make.
They are getting infinitely harder to make.
Yeah, but I think is Returnal coming out this year too. That game looks mysterious in a good way.
Breath 2 is coming for Switch this year.
Yeah. So there are a lot of good games. It's going to be a great year in gaming, and then for the Xbox crowd, hopefully things get better and fucking Halo will come out.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if Halo comes out and bangs, I'll pick up that box, or
I
at
will
least
too.
or at least the service. So
yeah, I would actually I'd be in that group that would probably do Game Pass instead and just get a PC.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do as well. So
Don't need another console.
Too many boxes.
So that being said, let's get into a little bit of news we've kind of put together here. So Sony has finally come out and announced how many consoles they shipped. So they were a little leery with giving out numbers. I don't know if it was because they didn't want to see how many was produced or whatnot, and with sales numbers. But so it looks like they sold roughly 3.4 million consoles in the first 4 weeks. It sounds like it's the best launch PlayStation ever. And what do you know about the old PlayStation selling 3.4 million units in the first couple of weeks here?
Supposedly, yeah, like you said, it's the best launch ever. Supposedly, also did at a minimum 2-to-1 to the Series X, and granted, everything's sold out everywhere for everything. So it's it's a supply problem more than it is a demand problem. But
how many more did you see? How many more that is than PS4? Because I feel like you could pick those up by running into the store even when they came out. I don't remember this sort of frenzy where they were sold out fucking
Switch,
everywhere.
From what I remember, I know that's a little more recent console where that game, and that console was kind of sold out everywhere, and there was this feeding frenzy of sorts.
There still is.
It is.
Well, and I think a lot of this is also like people fucking got nothing better to do. Let's buy a video game console.
And more people are gaming than ever.
Coronavirus is leading a lot of the charge here. I really believe that. Which it is what it is. But it's almost too bad that like it would have been interesting to see, and we'll kind of the things will start to separate fiction from reality next year. I mean, if PlayStation really does get another 80 million units out the door before the end of next year, or 18 rather, not 80.
Holy shit.
We'll see how many Xbox is able to ship, and they're always been leery on their numbers. But like, it'll be interesting to see like if PlayStation 5 ships that many consoles next year, are they going to sell them out?
Yeah,
are they going to sell everyone they ship?
Sold out. Yeah.
I mean, not maybe, but it'll. I'm sure the situation will come down where you'll just walk into a fucking Walmart in like a couple months, and you'll just see a couple on the shelves.
Yeah.
I believe that too.
I did see a third-party vendor, supposedly in a couple of days, if you guys are savvy enough to find it. A third-party vendor is putting out a PlayStation 2 themed PlayStation 5.
I saw that.
Where it's black and sexy looking.
Dude, it was awesome.
It is very cool looking.
Yeah.
You know, these damn consoles are so hard to get your hands on, but that console right there looks fucking amazing.
I thought,
So,
wasn't I reading that isn't that dude not being a jerk? Doesn't he only want like an extra $100 for customizing it? I thought I saw.
that'd be
It's
awesome,
like
man.
Yeah, I think it's 100 or 200, but
There wasn't a ton.
no.
I may
Especially
actually try and nab one.
Considering the resale market, and then the fact that this is like him making it special edition.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. When do you remember when that was, Siege?
The 8th. So in 4 days of recording, 3 days of this show dropping. So
Oh shit! I'll put that on my
I
calendar.
will. I'll try to type in the tweet and tweet it out from the rock. Well,
Oh, shit.
I don't know if I want to tweet out from the rock because I want my buddy D to get one. So, but
It's fine. We're all in
tweet it
this
out from the
together.
link, yeah. So yeah, so that console looks awesome. But yeah, a lot's coming in next year. It sounds like. So it sounds like they're wrapping up production. So hopefully we can get you one here soon. We're still all hands on deck for you right now. So we'll see what we can do.
Don't buy it from fucking Walmart. Those guys
I almost
eat
got
my
one from
ass.
Target, man. I
Alright.
was up in the middle of the night and it said in stock, and
Oh,
by the time I got to my card, it was gone. So
Fuckers.
Woodsy, Epic Games bought a mall.
What?
Yeah. They bought a mall that apparently was had shuttered somewhere. I didn't read where, but they bought a mall.
Stone.
Where?
It's a throw a stone.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But in either case, it's going to be what they're going to put their new headquarters in. This is
Oh, interesting.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Pennies
So-
on the dollar for the real estate.
evidently.
That's
So,
not terrible.
See if they can fill up a fucking mall, though. I mean, Jesus Christ. So,
That's pretty badass, man. Hey, if I were Epic Games, can you think of like how googly you could make that fucking campus? Like you could bring
right. And you know what the
Annie's
best part
pretzels
of, you know what
back.
the best part
You
about
mean,
that campus
you
is
could
going to
bring
be
the food
the
court
food
back.
court, baby.
Yeah. And like imagine bringing the food court back. Like
Yeah.
you have all the Korean places,
You got
and
your
Mexican.
Panda Express over
Oh,
here.
man.
Your,
How cool would that be
your
for
Orange
lunchtime?
Julius over here.
Yep.
Your Andy's Pretzels over here. Your Cinnabon over here. Your
How cool would that be?
what's Michael Scott's favorite pizza?
Dude, I love,
Sbarro's.
I love
Greatest
that
pizza
idea.
in New York.
I love
Yeah,
it. I love
greatest
this
pizza in New
idea.
York.
And you could keep all your groups separated, like across the fucking mall. And you actually have
Yeah.
to go and walk places. Like
Yeah.
you know,
Like
it's not
the
like a
giant-
quick walk by.
The giant closed down Sears department store wing is like your IT people.
Yeah.
Your J.C. Penney Target wing is your
Exactly.
yeah. Just ridiculous.
I just can't. I love this idea. Like I want to work for a company that does this.
Right.
Although it is contingent on everything we're talking about here and the reopening of the food court and things like that.
Right.
If that's not part of it, then I don't like it. But
Yeah.
I would
There's
get
got to
it.
be at least one
Dude,
slide.
10. Oh yeah, one slide. Of course. The ball pit's
And a
got to
ball
be
pit.
open. Yeah.
For me to poop in.
Oh, boy, it's gonna be
Just
upper
about right,
deckering
kid.
all over that bitch. Oh man, we could play an awesome game too. We could have a mobile app. You know, where did Woods upper decker today?
Google what's up the decker. Check it out.
Who finds
so-
it first?
Well, let's. So the next story is kind of a fun one. Lance McDonald on Twitter goes by the name of Man Fight Dragon. At Man Fight Dragon found a cheat code in Nier Automata that after you beat the boss, after immediately killing the first boss in the game, he runs into a corner where there's some like oil drums, and he kind of does this like coded thing. Go check it out. Man Fight Dragon. And he puts in whatever the code is, and it lets you skip to the end of the game, the last ending of the game.
The fifth ending. Yeah.
Yep. And it is not a glitch. It is an actual cheat code that was hard coded into the game. He did some reverse engineering. It sounds like hours and hours and hours of it.
Okay.
And
Like looking
he
through the
tweeted it
code.
out and talked some, like up, down, whatever the hell he's doing. He's kind of jumping in the corner and swinging his swords, and then it like you get some text read to you like, "Hey, please be to glory," this, that, or the other, and then it says you found a cheat code basically, and said, "Do you want to skip to the end of Nier Automata?" And then you can say yes or no, and then and then there's actually a quote tweeted by Yoko Taro saying, "Hey, three years and 10 months later, the guy Man Fight Dragon finally found this cheat code." Um, People who find these
Crazy.
cheat codes always like blow my mind, like how they go in these
Right.
corners, and that's a very Dark Soulsy thing that comes from, or you see people like doing these weird things in corners and stuff, and like, holy shit, that's what unlocks this. But this is an actual hard-coded cheat code into a game, so kind of a cool story.
Did that video go through his process or anything on how he
Um,
knows he's getting close to something, or
he said he has a full video he's posting soon. I don't know if he has or not yet. Um, this is he tweeted out a couple days ago. Um,
if
oh,
you
he
watch
said
that, you want to
he
follow
has,
up next week?
yeah, he has
that's
released a video,
interesting.
so I'll follow up next week and I'll kind of break it down a little bit. But it's just really a really cool, like, man, this dude has got a lot of time in his hands. But it's pretty cool that he found
Yeah,
it.
we think we don't see you.
This dude's
Well,
in the corner
it's.
just,
I
like,
think it's
fucking
actually
metal
pretty
drums going.
interesting too that you can skip to the end of that game, where like it almost fits into the meaning at the very end of that game, whereas, like, I guess assuming you know what happens at that point and you just do a new playthrough, um, knowing after you find out, now you can go back and make the other choice, or is it also like, I'm just going to choose, knowing the true ending of this game, not to subject these characters to their horrific continuing experience
Yeah.
off the bat. So it's weirdly meta in that sense.
Very fitting for that game, man. That game just, what Woods more in particular, but what we both kind of covered in that spoiler cast we did, where, man, there is a lot to that game, and it can go as deep as you want it to go. And you're spot on there, Woodsy, with that being very meta for that game. So, and then Woodsy, you want to take this last story here about Jared Nandin?
Yeah, so Jerry Landon was a World of Warcraft cosplayer who got big or popular for he cosplayed the World of Warcraft South Park episode Super Ultra Nerd. That was his world. That was his cosplay. Like
That's
he
awesome.
he had a computer on a tray, right?
Yeah.
That had the rollers on the bottom. And he would go around to conventions, and he would just pose like back, doing the exact pose from the show.
Oh,
And he
that's
had like
awesome.
the hot pocket, the exact hot pockets, and all that was his cosplay. And it was just, I mean, that's hilarious. That's
That
hilarious.
is
Well,
awesome.
there's a South Park fan, and then this
Yeah.
gentleman has the sense of humor to be that guy as his cosplay. That's just outstanding. And apparently, he was a terrific dude. And unfortunately, he has now passed away due to complications from COVID-19.
Oh,
So,
fucking coronavirus.
lost a good in there, and it's too bad. So, just wanted to give him a shout out because it's funny. So he made me laugh. Which, if I could just if I died and I knew that I made thousands and thousands of people laugh across the world one time, I'd be okay with that. So good for him. Good for him.
Fucking coronavirus, man.
Coronavirus.
Well, that kind of wraps up our news on a little bit of a somber note there, but sounds like a pretty great guy all in all. But so I want to touch on Spider-Man Miles Morales' trophy list a bit. Pretty good trophy list. PlayStation, I think, has this new mode of where a lot of their first-party games have very attainable platinums, as long as you kind of just play along and check a lot of the boxes off. Woods, I know you popped the Ghost Platinum, which is pretty attainable. And I've gone over a bunch of them, Last of Us Part 2 and whatnot, where they have this focus on very attainable platinums. This is in line with that. A lot of it's just completing all the various, borough parts of New York City and getting all the collectibles and whatnot. One of the trophies, I do have some nits to pick with it, though, is they do have a trophy to beat New Game Plus. Now, they had the same trophy in Spider-Man 2018, but it was a patched-in DLC trophy, where it's free DLC, but a patched-in trophy. So it didn't count towards the platinum. But for Miles Morales, you have to. Now, I did beat the platinum, and I did beat New Game Plus in a couple sittings on yesterday. So it's doable. It's a much shorter story, but still going through just to get a bronze trophy was kind of annoying.
Lame.
Yeah. There was another one of the trophies where you have to go around, and one of the collectibles. I don't want to get into spoilers or anything, but I guess very slight spoilers. You have to go around the city and find a sound to put together.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
to find
Sort
this
of.
sound, you have to be the exact distance the game wants you to be away from it. So it's in New York, so there's a bunch of different sounds going on. So you got to find the right sound. There's usually 3 sounds in each area that you kind of pick up on. But like if you're too close, it says too close. If you're too far from it, it says too far. So you got kind of it's kind of annoying.
That's cool though. I think those like web slinging challenges and everything. Those missions those are always some of my favorite from the actual game.
Yeah, and there's definitely some like here's the tutorials, and you don't have to get gold or ultimate on them, but you just have to beat them, to get. And they have another one of those. Another one of the kind of annoying trophies that there was this one called From the Rafters, where you have to do 25 ceiling takedowns. So like you're on the ceiling and then you push square and then whatever it was, something going to happen. It's a really cool animation, but one of the things that it took me a long time to get, because you're just not on the ceiling very often in that game. A lot of times you're fighting on rooftops, or you're on a beam in the rafters, or you're fighting on the ground.
I was just gonna ask. So like beam takedowns.
That's a different takedown. There's two different animations for beam takedowns per se. So you have to actually be on the ceiling, and it's kind of like controlling. It's kind of wonky. Like you run to like the top of the wall, and then
it's like tank controls, and then it's
and it's like you run in place for a minute. It doesn't just like smoothly like go up onto the ceiling. So it's just kind of annoying to get. It's 25 guys, so it doesn't take very long, but you definitely have to go out of your way to do it. So that's kind of another one of the more annoying ones. But all in all, pretty good trophy list. So very attainable platinum. Just go through and check your boxes, dot your I's and cross your T's, and you will be sitting with a shiny new, what's it called? Be Greater, I think, platinum. So that's another thing I want to get into at some point or called Be Yourself. Platinum names and images. Be Yourself is kind of a cool name. Well, one of my favorite trophies, platinum names, Slayer of Trophies. It's the platinum name for Demon Souls. So I like that one.
Love it.
So Miles Morales, I give it a solid, B+ grade for their trophies. So, in the ever rotating segment, I know D, you had your folks in town for the New Year's. Did anything sweet and sexy go on that big old smoker of yours?
Well, of course. My dad gets really excited to come up now because I have my giant fucking smoker.
So D, what you been smoking?
Well, I've been extremely fortunate. So for both Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, we had a prime rib roast on there. It turned out fabulous both times. Low and slow on that bad boy, and then a little sear at the end. Good to go. The lobsters went on there for about a half hour. So some butter on top for about 30 minutes. I think it was at 225, I want to say, or maybe that was at 300. That second prime took a little bit. It was frozen in the middle yet. It fucked up a little bit, thawing it out. But definitely did ribs again. Let's see. I think that was about it. Oh yeah, and chickens.
So Woodsy, I give you a hard time for being the hot taking Twitter beef making, but one of your life skills, for much as you suck at video games, is you're a fantastic cook. I can't just butter you up and then they gotta shoot you down a little bit here. So you are a fantastic cook. So Woodsy, what you been smoking?
I went to the store and they had a fantastic deal for New York strip steaks, and I got like 6 of them for like $24.
Oh,
holy shit!
Nice.
Yeah, something like that, and each. I want to say each one was 10 to 12 ounces. I don't know. I don't know. It couldn't have been that much. I'd have to look at the thing. But I don't think they're. Yeah. But I mean, it was a good deal. And then the resort, I did some reverse sear with those. Put them on the pellet grill for a little while to get that nice smoke flavor on them, and then I got the cast iron pan going upstairs. So I didn't want to sit outside and fucking do it outside. So I had the cast iron going on the stovetop upstairs, and I had butter, a whole bunch of butter that was infused with rosemary and lemongrass that I had picked up. I wanted to also try to add. It was interesting. You did a kind of a Japanese or an Asian twist on your ribs, and that I chose to do this kind of also Asian, sort of minor Asian infusion with just the lemongrass in there, and it was pretty good. I wouldn't have thought that lemongrass and rosemary went well together, but it was
that combo. I see it's the beef. I'm surprised at the lemongrass.
Yeah, exactly. On the beef. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's I don't know. It's just it worked for some weird reason. It just added like a lemon twist.
Little twist.
To what would normally have been like butter, but lemon on steak I didn't think would be a thing that I would like. But I liked it in the lemongrass with the rosemary form. It was just more herbal. So yeah, it sounds weird. Give it a try.
Sounds fine.
You sound fine.
Yeah.
So, with give it a try being said, we have a surprise announcement for the Pile O Shame with that little sexy shimmy you got going on there, Woodsy. What is the surprise announcement?
Well, as of this moment, the new poll is up.
Oh,
fuck
shit.
you, Ryan.
So.
Oh, I voted for fuck you, Ryan.
It is going down. So as the tweet says, I'm just going to read it off. You've been asking for it. The Pile of Shame is back for the new year, and Woods_or_Wads will fucking finish it this time, or get a tattoo of King James's face on his butt.
No.
So, cross my heart, hope to die. I'm not getting King James's fucking mug tattooed on my arse. Not happening.
That dude from that said about the Bills Mafia and that tattooed in his ass. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, as I alluded to earlier in the podcast, D has been asking to play for it, and Ryan's been kind of wanting to chirp and play it too. But the subject, 29-23 expansion for Remnant from the Ashes. We could jump into that as a team with Big D over here and hashtag our friend Ryan.
Fuck you, Ryan.
Fuck you, Ryan. And CJ. I mean, actually, CJ, there'll be a night where I'm busy, and CJ will just hop in there and beat it with Ryan and D just to fuck with me.
Yeah, now that you say it that way.
And then Call of Duty Cold War, the solo campaign mode, I did like the first level. And I want to jump in, but I don't remember really what was happening, so I just do the first level over. Astro's Playroom, same thing. Kind of started that, didn't do much more than the first couple levels, and I'd like to actually finish that game, finish it soon before the new games start coming out for the upcoming year. And then finally, another team-oriented game. I know Ryan has it. I think you might, but I figured it'd be a fun game to You have it too, CJ? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So I think it'd be a fun game to hop online with and play. I wouldn't beat it per se, but I guess I could do the single player, whatever that entails. But to just play with you guys as a foursome or whatever online to do some Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel, that would be pretty dope, I think. So it's kind of a themed thing where either some short solo campaigns or some multiplayer action from all of your favorite boys at the Raw Cuts Gaming. So
this is very exciting.
You choose.
The hater in me is trying to figure out which of these 4 games you're least likely to play and finish, so you can get a tattoo of King James's face on. They're all fairly short, so I'm kind of leaning towards Crash Team. I'm hoping that there's not a very a long campaign, maybe, or not very conclusive campaign, so I can get a tattoo of King James's ass. We'll see what ends up winning, though.
Can it look like the Steve-O one too? Can we get LeBron James doing this one?
I want it to be Stickman LeBron face or something.
Can you do the jump man to your butthole?
Oh yes, Yes.
No. He'll be
LeBron has gotta be
the baby
doing a
powder
dunk.
slapped into my butthole.
He's
Yeah,
got to be
yeah.
doing a dunk. Oh, yeah. Like
Go
this,
for it,
the
coming
baby
out,
powder. Yeah.
Oh, coming out.
I like the
But,
dunk
like, from
idea,
my
though,
back
too.
going down.
Yeah.
Like, you got a hand going over the top of it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Right.
Oh man,
Right.
this is fantastic. This is quite a surprise. I'm very excited now.
And we can, dude, if they're going to be tattooing in and around your cheeks and or taint for how complicated this tattoo is, that's going to be live streamed here on at least Twitch, probably also
On
YouTube.
what's his OnlyFans page?
Yeah, definitely on
Yeah.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
That's going right back up there.
We're gonna have to start that GoFundMe real quick for this tattoo. It sounds like it's gonna be 3D, 4K, and full HDR 10 color.
Once our podcast get monetized, you know why. 'Cause it's tattoo time. All right. Well,
We're gonna get the world's first digital tattoo on my ass, guys.
We're going to have some real weird fucking sponsors, but it's fine.
Oh my goodness, it's great. Okay, so with all that excitement being said, that concludes the 25th episode of the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast.
Yay!
Congratulations, boys! We made it to 25, the old silver anniversary, like you said. So we thank you, the listener, for tuning in each and every week to hear all of our uncut takes and all things video games. We
Thank
hope
you, buddy.
join us for more Raw Cuts Gaming. If you'd like to be part of the show and conversation with us and tell us how much you hate,
Hey.
I'm not your buddy guy.
we definitely encourage you to reach out. The best place to find us is on Twitter at Raw Cuts Gaming. If you'd like to watch a podcast recording, check us out on the YouTube channel, Raw Cuts Gaming. And we also have the old Twitch, Raw Cuts Gaming on there. So, D, if people want to reach you, where's the best place to get a hold of you?
I'm at NakedGamer84 on Twitter with the bird sign. And on the Twitchers, I am noob with the zeros _ Naked Gamer.
Woodsy, if people want to find your hot takes, your Twitter beef makes, where's the best place to do so?
Best place to do so is at Woods _or _Wads on Twitter, and then at Twitch, it's I guess at is it ad on Twitch? No, it's not ad on Twitch. It's just
It's just Raw Cuts Gaming, yeah.
Right.
And if you want to find me, your resident trophy hunting host, you can find me on Twitter at CJ Reindl. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Bears still suck. The Bears still suck. The Bears still suck. The Bears still suck. They really, 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 really suck.